Ooh, they are promising us a whole lot in the future of Battlefield 6. There's a community update, probably the last one before launch on Friday. So soon, I can't wait to play this game. And there are definitely a few things we need to touch on. I'm summarizing the whole thing for you guys, of course. Basically, it starts with them thanking everyone for the feedback that was given and that they want to implement a lot of it and that many changes have already happened and so on and so forth. But I'm starting directly with the most important thing, which is what the future holds for Battlefield 6, because they listened to us. And yes, they heard our wish for a popular little helicopter. It's an absolute mystery to me how that popular little helicopter, the Nightbird, right, or Little Bird, isn't in the game from the start. It's actually not there at launch. Apparently, I find that totally weird because that thing is a fan favorite. Times 10. But it will probably come later because it's mentioned in the future section of this community update. Same with naval battles. The wish for naval battles was heard, and I don't know if they are already working on it or if it's something for the future. In any case, it's been discussed just like platoons actually. So basically, community building is there again. And joining a platoon was definitely a big part of that in the past. That's already a good start, right? Furthermore, they want to address other wishes and continue to analyze the data and feedback. Season 1 starts on the 28th. The seasons will probably have more content than ever before in any Battlefield installment, which isn't hard to achieve. Yeah, like I said in earlier videos, the live service wasn't exactly, well, you know what I mean. And of course, the Battle Royale will be added soon, which is still in the future, but we already knew that one. Also, there will be a Day 1 patch at launch. It is supposed to contain over 200 changes regarding balance and so on. For example, movement should now feel more reactive than before. So it's getting a bit faster again. What do they mean by reactive? After they initially slowed it down? Just take that as information, we will see. The balancing of the recoil of automatic weapons had been revised once again. It should now feel or be more rewarding when you tap fire at longer distances. So probably more spread if you shoot sustained burst for too long. Skill ceiling maybe. I actually think that's a good thing. Weapon attachments are now displayed correctly in the menu. Things like that are in these changes. They've also changed the layout for rush and breakthrough maps a bit more. The MTV Law is now the standard rocket launcher for the engineer. Well, those are minor things. Well, the map revision isn't, but which launcher is standard now isn't that important, in my opinion. The laser designator has now a smoother thingy and so on. The animations are better now, apparently. I think we'll check on the patch once it's out to see what's actually been improved. I don't think any of this is that important now, except that the netcode has been improved and the desync is supposed to be much better now. So less desync, of course. I'll definitely test that one out on Friday. I can't tell you how excited I am to play this game once again. Don't forget, if you want to buy the game early or when it's out on the EA app or EA.com, just put in my promo code. It's LUC001, Luke001. Gives me a little bit of kickback. That would be nice. But let's continue. There have been more than 30 lab sessions where feedback and data was generated. It's also quite good that there will be several playlists at launch. There will actually be a rush and breakthrough mix. So there will also be mixed modes. Not the way I wanted it maybe, where you play like Conquest and sometimes rush. That would have been good for me. Instead, they only mixed Conquest and Escalation in one playlist and Rush and Breakthrough in another. So 2 playlists where I think, yeah, they should have mixed that better. But you can build it yourself on Portal. I'll definitely gobble up something together there. A dope playlist where things alternate a bit with the best maps for this or that. Conquest is still my favorite, but sometimes Breakthrough or Rush is definitely sick for variety. Then there was an analysis regarding open and closed playlists, and I can't shake the feeling that they definitely want to push the whole thing towards open playlists, because the argumentation in this community update, it's basically not necessarily about what the statistics look like. Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to explain. For example, it says in the update that the kills per hour were almost identical with open and closed weapon categories. But that's not the point of why people would prefer the default mode to be closed weapons. It's about how the game plays, how you team up, how the readability is, and so on. How you can build like OP builds within support with a sniper and stuff like that. The fact that the statistics aren't particularly different in things like kills per hour or something is somehow, to me, not very meaningful in that regard. The good thing though is that both playlists will exist, so we will have both at launch. Although I am of the opinion that if there are open and closed weapon playlists, most people will play the open ones. Especially at the beginning, if you want to level different weapons, that makes sense to everyone, right? The point for a closed weapon playlist would be to force people into their role a bit that they are playing, because then the game Battlefield itself works better, in my opinion. They will probably also stick the closed playlist somewhere right in the back, so you definitely don't find it. Yeah, that kind of thing. As I said, I find the argumentation in this community update a bit forced. There's certainly some truth to it, but it's not about statistics. It's about how Battlefield plays and how the classes behave and how readable the game is and so on. That shouldn't bother us. It will still be a sick Battlefield. I'm convinced of that. Nevertheless, I'm still of the opinion that closed weapons would be better. Write in the comments how you see it now. You may have played the open beta, etc. At least the weapon proficiencies, would not stop me at all, as I noticed from playing an SMG as a sniper, for example. But I still think that having both is cool, then everyone can play what they want. That's my take on the whole thing, and I hope that Battlefield 6 will have enough players at launch to support 2 playlists. Anyway, the vast majority of players stuck to the open weapons when trying out the open weapon playlist. That's why it strengthens their conviction that this is the right way. I'll be honest, I'll play the game no matter what, whether it's open weapons or not, because I like the game itself. I just think that this dash of Battlefield feeling is better with a closed weapon system. If you give people the choice, they will probably play the open ones. That's somehow completely logical, so that doesn't surprise me. The thing with the playlists is still quite cool, that there are individual playlists for individual modes, so Breakthrough, Conquest and Escalation will have individual playlists, and as I said before, the 2 combined ones will also be available, Breakthrough and Rush and Conquest and Escalation. Plus, we have the server browser in Portal. Maybe that could actually become such a huge feature where you simply find your favorite game via Portal and not through the normal automated route, so to speak. Time will tell, but the server browser Lite, which is already teased, will also be there. That means you can choose which map, which mode. As far as I understood that correctly, I certainly hope so, because that's the bare minimum, I think. Basically, that's it for the community update. We can definitely look forward to lots of content in the future for Battlefield 6. There seem to be really big plans for it, even if they are now owned by the Saudis. That doesn't seem to hurt it. Maybe in the future it will. We'll see. And maybe they simply saved up things like the Little Bird to bring something more into the game later. Who knows? You never know. The main thing for me is that there are enough maps. That's the most important thing for me now. I'm excited to see if naval battles will really be a thing later on. We know this from Battlefield. It's constantly being patched. We'll deal with those when they are out. If you don't want to miss any news of those, always make sure to smash that subscribe button. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Bye!